The YouTuber turned boxing star Jake Paul called out Sonny Bill Williams' name in his 6-fighter hit list a few weeks back. And now the prospect of this fight has thrown social media into a frenzy. But the former Australian rugby pro Paul Gallen is a bit skeptical of a matchup between the two. He's open to the idea of facing the YouTuber himself. So let's get into it. First up, Gal on Jake Paul vs. SBW. While the internet might have gone haywire over the chance of a fight between the problem child versus SBW going down, Paul Gallen has cast some doubts about how likely this matchup really is. Gallen himself has wanted to go against Sonny for the longest time now, with the latter turning him down time and time again. And now the NRL legend feels that it's pretty impossible for SBW to go up against the YouTuber, mainly because of their weight difference. SBW is a heavyweight. Paul isn't. SBW has the reach advantage. Paul doesn't. The problem child doesn't even come close to matching the All Blacks hero in terms of size and weight. At their current weight, the 5-0 YouTuber is definitely not going to be able to maintain that record. In an interview with foxsports.com.au, Gal talked about the prospect of the fight between Jake and SBW, saying that seeing this fight go down would be pretty fascinating. He said that if he was being an honest judge of this matchup, then he doesn't really see it happening, saying that the weight gap was just too big. He goes on the interview to say that Jake's someone who usually weighs somewhere around 85 to 90 kilograms, while on the other hand, Sonny on fight days stands at about 109 kilograms. He adds that right now the Kiwi's probably standing at about 113 to 115 kilograms. Now that he's not fighting. He talked about an Instagram post where Eddie Hearn was talking about SBW and referring to him as not a big heavyweight, saying that he should be able to get down to 190 pounds, maybe even 200 pounds. The Aussie rugby legend thinks that asking Sonny to lose more than 20 kilos to get to 86 to 90 kilos, which is Jake's weight, is downright impossible. Gal adds that up until now the problem child has had 3 fights, 2 of which he fought at welterweight, which is about 150 pounds. And the other guy that he's calling out and asking for a fight with for a while is the light heavyweight Tommy Fury, heavyweight Tyson Fury's younger brother, another guy who stands at about 79 kilos. So expecting the YouTuber to go head-to-head with someone who's a natural heavyweight and fights at that class is just not realistic. Gal does add that if the fight does go through, then good luck to Sonny. He hopes that it happens. The 40-year-old says that he's got no animosity toward Williams or toward the whole situation. Props to him if this goes through, but he says that he's still skeptical about it. He doesn't expect the problem child to actually go through with a fight at heavyweight, especially against a guy who's undefeated and has about 9 or 10 fights under his belt. Now we have Gallen is open to accepting the challenge. Oh, but this is where the caveat comes in. The 40-year-old rugby pro has hinted at wanting to take on the younger Paul brother should the fight with SBW go up in flames. Gallen says that he is open to fighting the 25-year-old and would warmly accept a challenge from him if he's interested. And the thing is, the weight disparity might not be a problem if a matchup between Gal versus Jake were to happen. The 40-year-old cut down to about 97 kilos for his epic 10-round showdown against Justis Huni and feels that he can go down to 97 kilos easily. Gallen isn't sure, though, that Jake would want to face off against someone of his caliber. In the interview, he spoke about his upcoming plans to retire later this year, adding that of course he'd consider this fight if it came his way, and he'd do it if it were to happen this year. He adds, though, that this isn't something he's thought about much, and it's not even a discussion right now. The biggest thing on the 40-year-old's mind at this moment is his upcoming bout with Kris Terzievski, fighting him for the Australian and Australasian titles coming next at Newcastle. Gal says that he's got to get through that fight right now and thinks that if he won, Jake would be even more hesitant to fight him. He refers to how the YouTuber has previously made a statement saying that he wants to fight people with less than 10 fights, which gives Gal reason to believe that it won't happen because of that anyway. And now, Matt Rose has some plans in mind. Oh, but the thing is, Paul Gallen's promoter, Matt Rose, has other ideas. In Rose's opinion, a Gal vs SBW fight is pretty much not gonna ever happen, but Gal versus the problem child could potentially be a pretty big event. Talking to News Corp, Rose said that he needs Gal to win on Wednesday to really sell the idea of a fight with the YouTuber. He even revealed that he's reached out to Paul's manager, Nikisa Badarian. Rose thinks that if done right, this fight could potentially be held at the new Sydney football stadium, which is huge. He ends off by saying that this fight could be 10 times bigger than the SBW fight, which in all likelihood is never happening in his opinion. So what do you guys think? Will we get to see Paul Gallen on Jake Paul later this year? Let us know your thoughts. On to some other news. Jake Paul plans his return in August. Jake Paul is finally making his return to the boxing ring. The YouTuber star announced last week that he was coming back to fight in the Squared Circle on August 13th, where he plans to face off against a TBD opponent at a TBD location, according to reports by ESPN. The problem child took a break from fighting following his knockout win over Tyron Woodley last December in Tampa, Florida. The 25-year-old returned to training back in March and now is gearing up to wear those gloves again. He told ESPN in an interview that he was excited to be back in the gym and that he's more motivated than he's ever been. Paul says that his 5-0 run from November 2020 until January 2021 was his rookie season, the first chapter of his boxing career, and now he's all set to write another chapter. Initially, Paul had said that after the Woodley fight, he felt burned out and that he wasn't going to fight for at least 18 months. Things seem to have played out differently, however, as Paul returns to training just 2 months into his break. Talking to ESPN, he said that he kinda had an epiphany 2 months into his break from fighting. He says that he started feeling motivated again and just wanted to get back into boxing. So, who do you guys think Jake will go up against in August? Will it be SBW, Paul Gallen, maybe even someone from the UFC? Let's wait and find out. Jake Paul says he can take on Canelo Alvarez. On Saturday night, Dimitri Bivol pulled an incredible upset over the pound-for-pound boxing great of boxing, Canelo Saul Alvarez, beating him 115-113 at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Immediately after this epic clash of titans, the problem child uploaded a video talking to those people who think he can't beat Canelo. Paul's been wanting to take on arguably the greatest boxer in the world for a long time. He thinks that his size and reach advantage would give him the upper hand, and after Bivol's takedown of Alvarez, he has even more reason to believe so. Paul points out that he's 2 inches taller than Bivol and 20 pounds heavier, saying that in 3 years' time he could easily take out Canelo. In the video, Paul even takes a jab at Eddie Hearn, who he's been at odds with ever since Hearn called him delusional for thinking he could take on Canelo. Yikes! After using some colorful language for Hearn, Paul repeats that he's coming for Canelo in 3 years' time, and he swears that on his mama, Paul finishes off by congratulating Bivol for his victory and showing that Alvarez could easily be taken down by someone bigger than him, saying that he'd known that all along. Paul Gallen storms off of press conference. Boy oh boy did Paul Gallen create a scene at his pre-fight media conference just days after calling his opponent Kris Terzievski a soft cock. The state of origin winner walked out of the press conference right after telling the heavyweight that he was going to bash him. Gallen is set to face off against Terzievski on Wednesday night at Newcastle for the Australian and Australasian titles and plans to retire with these belts under his name. After his opponent was a no-show at a press event last week, Gallen was far from forgiving this time in Sydney, saying that he was proud of headlining the fight card. He goes on to call his opponent out for not doing anything to sell this fight, and right before leaving the building had some threatening words for Kris. "It's going to be ugly. It's going to be a street fight, and I'm going to bash ya. We definitely don't want to get on Gall's bad side." That's a wrap for this video. So what do you guys think about Gall's take on Jake versus SBW? Let us know in the comments below. If you liked what you saw, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe so you never miss a video. See you in the next one. Bye guys.